Hello everyone. So we are again starting GS Mains paper 2 July 2017, and this will be the last part because we have already done 4 videos. In the first 2 videos now I was just experimenting. I will always try to keep videos till like 5. 5 will be the maximum for GS Mains paper 3 also, for paper 1 also. For every month I will try to complete all the important articles in 5 videos, and that will be short and sweet. The last video was 11 minutes long. I will try to keep all the other videos up until 8 to 9 minutes. But this video, let's see how much time it takes, because I have to cover all the remaining articles. Okay, so let's start from POCSO and SC. Now, what is the issue regarding POCSO and SC? Now, what is POCSO first of all? POCSO is Protection of Children from Sexual Offences Act. Now, Supreme Court has done right, and Supreme Court has given a verdict, and has given, it's not actually a verdict, they have just said that they will not extend POCSO to adults with mental retardation. There was a case of a woman who was suffering from cerebral palsy, but Supreme Court has said that they will not extend the age. What is the issue? The issue is if a person is 30 odd years of age, but his mental age is 10 or 12 years, right? So should he be treated as a child or like a child? For that, law need to be framed, and Supreme Court has said that it will not frame law, it will not determine anything about the law. It has left it to the legislature, because legislature is there to frame laws, right? So it is right, because ruling is outside his domain. See whether POCSO should be extended to a mentally retarded person or not, that should be the ambit of legislature. Okay. Now, determination of mental competence needs statutory provisions and rules, right? Which is the domain of legislature, not judiciary. There's a case, I have told you already, that case of a rape of 38-year-old woman with cerebral palsy. She was suffering from cerebral palsy. Now, what is the implication of this ruling? Where Supreme Court has shown some judicial restraint. We always talk about judicial activism, judicial overreach. So this was an example of judicial restraint. So what is the implication of this particular ruling? First one is, now onus will lie on trial judges to keep in mind the degree of retardation of victim and their level of understanding while appreciating their evidence. So it will be on a case-to-case basis whether this particular person. So again, that is the whole thing. Second thing is, also up to legislature to introduce legal provisions to determine mental competence, so victims with inadequate mental development may effectively testify against sexual offenders. Now, judiciary has done its work. It has shown judicial restraint. Now, it's up to legislature to form a regulation or change the regulation or bring the amendment to introduce or to induct these mentally disabled people inside POCSO, so that they could also get justice, right? So that would be the right thing to do, according to me. If you feel something different, again you can comment on it. Let's move on to the next one. The next topic is Indo-Sri Lanka Accord. Okay, now Indo-Sri Lanka Accord, there were two good articles which were written on Indo-Sri Lanka Accord, and we'll be summarizing both those two articles. Now, what is first article saying? The first article is saying that Indo-Sri Lanka Accord was signed between Indian PM Rajiv Gandhi and Sri Lankan President J.R. Jayawardene in July 1987. Now, second point is, most significant contribution of much maligned accord has been restructuring of island nations post-colonial state. It has restructured island nation, and how it has restructured, how it has changed the relationship between Sinhalese and Tamilian people, we will see. Now, what are the issues in Sri Lanka? There are two main issues. Lots of issues are there, but two are the main issues. First is resistance to reforming the state. There is a resistance, the internal as well as the external resistance to reform the state. Second is state's failure to become truly pluralistic and multi-ethnic. So Sri Lanka right now is not a case similar to India. It is a case similar to Pakistan. In Sri Lanka, Sinhalese are dominating. In Pakistan, we all know which particular religion is dominating there. Moving on. 30 years since Accord, Sri Lanka is fast losing momentum to bring constitutional reforms. Okay. Now see, one more thing I want to talk about. In Pakistan also has a pluralistic culture. We have different people belonging to different religions, right? So again, but there is a single religion, that Islam is the main religion of Pakistan. That is totally fine. But they should protect minority religions as well, right? Because if Pakistan is not the only religion, that Islam is the main religion, or they have said that they are Islamic state. Lots of other Islamic state, we shouldn't be saying Islamic state because that refers to something else altogether, right? So they are an Islamic country. Again, lots of other Islamic countries are there, and they have formed OIC, right? That is fine. That is totally fine. But minority rights should be protected just like it is protected in our country. See, we have lots of talks going on here. But when you refer to Pakistani newspaper, you will see that, yeah, voices are being curbed. Lots of things are going on. And we have a case of Danish Canada also. So you can Google on it. I won't waste time on it because I have lots of other articles to cover. Now, second article written on Indo-Sri Lanka Accord. which says that Accord is a watershed in Sri Lanka's history as Sri Lanka promised to share power with Tamil people. Now, second point is Accord also gives Sri Lanka best chance to recover from devastation caused by anti-Tamil pogrom of July 1983. I dread the word pogrom because it reminds me of Jewish assassination and all those things which happened in World War II. So similarly, not similarly because nothing can be similar to Jewish assassination which happened during World War II, but anti-Tamil pogrom was carried out in July 1983, and all these things happened only to stabilize the relationship to give something to these Tamil people to live for in Sri Lanka. Now again, but since insincere approach by successive Sri Lankan governments and half-baked 13th Amendment, remember this 13th Amendment because this is what is aiming for providing provincial autonomy in Sri Lanka. Half-baked 13th Amendment saw an escalation of conflict which has now resulted in issue being taken to global level. So that's why we are saying that different global, human rights organizations are coming and they are saying that Sri Lanka is not fulfilling its duty and obligation towards Tamilian people. Okay, moving on to the next topic, which is public health and private players. Now again, there's a recommendation. There's a there's a recommendation to privatize or to introduce PPP model, PPP exactly, public-private partnership model in district hospitals. Now, there are three views regarding it. We'll talk about all those three views regarding it. So first view is saying that private providers will be able to cherry pick the lucrative districts where patients have a higher paying capacity. So again, these private players will see which districts will yield them greater dividends and they will provide all these medical services to those districts only. So again, that will not serve the purpose for which this particular recommendation has been brought up. Second thing is Niti Aayog's grand plan to effectively privatize district hospitals in Tier 1 and Tier 2 towns. Now, handing over of public assets to for-profit company is a clear abdication of duty by government. So this particular author who is having a certain view, he is saying that government is running away from its duty if they are thinking about privatizing district hospitals. Again, third point in this particular first view is healthcare is primarily a state subject and state government must first question legitimacy of supported policy. Now, first of all, GST has taken away the taxation power of states. Now you are taking away the healthcare facility power of states. So again, a proper mechanism has to be developed where center should consult states and take their recommendations or take their views on certain things. So again, the author is saying that healthcare is a state subject and state government's consent is needed if they want to apply this particular recommendation. Okay, now the second view is government cannot remain oblivious to present needs even while building capacity of public health system, right? So what this particular author is saying, who is having a second view, he is saying that first of all we need to expand the access of healthcare. That is the first most priority or utmost priority. That should be the utmost priority of government, and government is doing exactly that. And it doesn't matter how government is expanding healthcare access. Need is expansion of healthcare. So PPPs in health highlighted by Niti Aayog is for certain NCDs. What is NCD? Non-communicable disease. It is widespreading. So Niti Aayog is saying something has to be done about it. So first of all, let's apply this PPP thing. Inference that government forfeiting its role in public healthcare is totally misplaced. So this author of the second view is saying that it's not like government is forfeiting its view. Government is only taking care of healthcare access need. Now again, third view, and he's summarizing by saying that we need to be open to the potential of such partnership to expand access. If you want to expand healthcare access, we have to think of different ways. We cannot treat all these things in silos. Now, last view regarding this public health and private player is proposed PPP model in district hospital will improve access, but it may not deliver equitable care. So it can happen that access will improve, but even in that scenario, poor people will not be able to access healthcare. Why? Because they won't have that much resource. Private players will charge according to their needs and according to their consumption and all those things, whatever they are spending on their hospitals and all those things. So again, it can improve healthcare access, but it will not provide equitable care because poor people may not get the benefit from it. Okay, moving on. So we have to move on to the next topic, which is CBFC and its tantrums. Central Board Film Certification. Right now, this thing all the time something or other happens with CBFC. Now, what is the news right now? So first of all, battle for free expression is having to be fought so often these days. Lipstick under my burqa. There was a Shahid Kapoor movie, I don't remember that name. So lots and lots of issues are going on with CBFC. Freedom of expression cannot and should not be curtailed without a valid reason. See, it is CBFC, Central Board of Film Certification. It has to certify it. So dude, certify it. Why are you rejecting the films? Films are made on crores and crores of rupees, right? Lots of budget are being invested. And then what they do? They just reject it. That no, it cannot be rejected. There is a Sunny Devil movie which has not been released up until now. There's a movie, you can Google it out, and it is a movie based on Banaras. So it has not been released yet. Okay, so CBFC does not always see itself as a certifying authority but plays censor quite merrily. It has taken its issue and it has become very sensitive to the censor board. So it has become censor board instead of becoming a certifying board. Now challenges to freedom come from both within the systematic framework and outside. So CBFC, now something has been done. This is about July now. In August, we have seen that Prahlad Nilhani has been removed and Trishul Joshi has been appointed. So now we can see certain changes. Let's see what are those changes. Now moving on to the next topic, abortion and pregnancy. Now there's a thing. This is a very sensitive topic and this is very important from paper 2 point of view because this is exactly related to government policies and implementation, and you can see that topic there, right? Now what is the issue regarding it? Parliament needs to take up long pending bills on updating provisions for abortion. Now there is an abortion ceiling limit which has been fixed to 20 weeks in India, but in most of the other countries it is more than 20 weeks. We'll talk about it. Now what is the act regarding it? That act is called Medical Termination of Pregnancy Act, which stipulates a cap of 20 weeks within which abortion can be performed. Now there was a bill in 2014 which wanted to increase abortion ceiling limit to 24 weeks, but that bill is still pending. Now abortion is a very sensitive topic world over. Okay, but in most cases abortion ceiling limit is more than 20 weeks. So you can see, you can refer to abortion articles and abortion acts in different parts of the world. It is more than 20 weeks, but in our country it is only 20 weeks. Now what are the issues regarding it? Now this thing is, we have to, if certain objective standards are implemented or are being brought about by the legislature, so that will help in determining the criteria. Otherwise judiciary has to treat every case on a case by case basis, everything on a case by case basis. So helpful also to lay down objective standards to be followed by healthcare providers so that every case does not fall into court's cradle. What is happening now? If some sensitive case comes up or some critical case comes up, so now they have to go to judiciary to determine whether we can carry out the abortion or not because we have exceeded the limit of 20 weeks. So that should not be the case. Judiciary should not be the panacea for all, right? There has to be different objective standard which has to be set up regarding this abortion thing. Okay, moving on. Again, we are talking about the same thing, PPP in district hospitals. Remember to cover it properly. If a Hindu is the best newspaper, right? We know. Indian Express is equally good, so you can refer to either of them. But if something is covered more than once in the same week in Hindu, so remember that particular issue becomes very important for both prelims and mains point of view. And there's no such thing that you have to study in silos. There's no silos preparation for prelims and mains. Everything is aggregated or included, right? Because what we have seen that whatever topics there are there in prelims, right? First topic, current events, that is there in all the papers, paper 1, paper 2, paper 3 of mains. Second topic is history of India and Indian national movement, that is there in paper 1, GS mains paper 1. Second, Indian world geography, GS mains paper 1. Indian polity and governance, GS mains paper 2. Economic and social development, GS mains paper 3. Environment ecology, GS mains paper 3. Last one, general science, GS mains paper 3. So again, have a holistic approach to your prelims and mains preparation. I will be dealing more about it. Right now I have to cover these topics. So let's move on. So PPP in district hospitals, what are the issues? The first thing is, there is a proposal to allow private sector to run district hospitals, and we have seen about it already. Now it has risks. So what are those risks? See, first one is, providing 50 or 100 beds in district hospitals may expand access to care, but such arrangements do not offer a cure for larger problem of growing NCD burden. NCD is non-communicable disease. So they are saying, okay, you can provide 50 and 100 hospitals in district hospitals, but will it curb the menace of NCD or something else has to be done? Ultimately, success of such system depends on medical outcomes on one hand and community satisfaction on the other. You have to see whether communities are getting satisfied by this particular proposal of yours or not, right? And whether you're getting the medical outcomes which were desired. Both dimensions must find place in a contract and assessed periodically. Next thing is we have to have audits, right, to see whether all things are going as planned. A provision for audits, penalties and cancellation of contracts is also essential. So these are the things which we need to keep in mind. We have to first of all think whether we are getting the desired medical outcomes or not. Second, whether communities are getting satisfied by it or not. And third, whether proper audit, penalties and cancellation of contracts are being carried out or not. These three things has to be taken in mind or taken care of to implement PPP in district hospitals in a holistic way. Now let's move on to the last two topics, right to privacy and Trump presidency. Now right to privacy, it is a very important because we have just seen Supreme Court's verdict. Now, the thing is, Supreme Court is giving historical verdicts one after the another, right? They have given verdict on triple talaq, talaq-e-bid'at. Now they have given on right to privacy. We'll talk about it in August session of GS Mains Paper 2. Right now, let's consider what July 2017 was saying about right to privacy. Now, there are four things which we need to consider about right to privacy. First of all, what is it? Second thing, how did it come about? Third thing is, why does it matter? Fourth thing is, what next? Now, first thing, what is it? So there is no definite legal definition of privacy. Second thing, how did it come about? Now, government's Aadhaar scheme is the trigger which collects personal data and biometrics. Remember, it collects biometrics. I'm quoting in biometrics. So government argument is that right to privacy of an elite few is submissive to right of masses to lead a dignified life. So they are saying that right to privacy of certain elite people cannot prevent them from providing subsidies and all those things to millions of people. And this Aadhaar is a panacea for all subsidies and everything. I don't know how true is that, but this is for you people to decide. Now, they are also saying that right to privacy is not expressly included in Constitution. Now, opponents insist that recognition of privacy is a fundamental freedom and it is acting as an essential deterrent against intrusion into personal space and data by state as well as private players in a technologically dynamic society. Today, government is saying they can access data. After some time, WhatsApp will say that they can do whatever they want with your private data because government is also doing the same. So you cannot do that, right? You have to have a little amount of privacy, right? Now, after Supreme Court has declared that right to privacy is a fundamental right, we can see some changes. Let's hope we see some changes. Now, third question is, why does it matter? Why? Because risk of personal information is there, and risk of personal information falling into the hands of private players and service provider is there. Now, last question is, what next? Now, remember these words which I'm saying right now. Government should put a robust personal data protection mechanism. Remember these 5 words. Robust personal data protection mechanism. Government has to have it. They are taking our biometrics. Awesome, no issues. But they should protect, or they should put a robust personal data protection mechanism in place in this digital age, right? Now let's talk about Trump presidency. Now, we have a parliamentary system. They have a presidential system. See what happens when you give too much power to one particular person. Now, Trump presidency product a flawed political system that will obstinately not admit its flaws. And US political system gives far too much power to the executive, and you have to admit it. They are not admitting it that this presidential system can have certain, can reverse whatever good Mr. Barack Obama had done, right? So let's see what other things happens, because we have seen US-Iran policy, US-Afghanistan policy, everything is changing, and we are not sure what will happen next, right? Okay, so I will keep it here only. This is for July 2017. This has been a very long video. I'm very sorry for it, but I had to complete it. In the next video, I will start GS Mains Paper 3 July 2017, and my aim is to move on further for July GS Paper 1 also, and again for other options and everything. Thank you for listening.